The inmates are running the asylum this week.
All right, welcome to a new installment of Moonhawk Studios Presents. So, obviously, I'm not Mac. I'm the usual co-host of the program, Adam. Um, I'm having to step into the full hosting duties this evening because Mac is dealing with his continued Amex rent situation, and it's kind of apparently reaching fever pitch. Long and short of it is he needs to work some 12-hour shifts or he will be evicted. Yay!
Oh, hey. Oh dear, no, he will be out of the house. And, no, he does not want that. Nobody wants that. So, yeah.
So hopefully he'll be back next week. Like, he says he'll be back next week barring homelessness, but, just given the situation, that's not assured.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, joining me as always are Kevin.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, I really don't got much. I already gave up my thing at the top.
Yeah. Petty.
I'm in the roof.
And Galax.
I am also here.
All right, let's get to the news, which means, Kevin, you start us off, given the adjusted rotation.
Yeah, and as always, it is a short little thing, as always with me, because I have really nothing going on other than work, and that's pretty much it with me at the moment, thankfully. As always, I'm the one that has the least amount of drama.
Meanwhile...
And meanwhile, yes, Petty, what's happening in your world this week?
Do you want the fun stuff or the annoying stuff?
Go fun first.
All right. I talked to the eye doctor. My eye is doing a lot better. When I look at screens, I no longer want to defenestrate myself. Bright sunlight's still a problem, but that's still going to be a little hit and miss until the veins in my eye actually go back to their proper size and quit pressing on the optic nerve. So the eye is finally doing better. So hooray. This week we're taking Soul to go get fixed. So hopefully a little less wild child. And our house has a new hat, as I like to call it. We've got our roof replaced. So it was kind of funny with that. They dropped the materials off Friday afternoon, and we were thinking that somebody was going to call when they were going to come, put up the new roof. We wake up Saturday morning, and there's 6 guys down near our garage on our property. Mind you, last week we were dealing with someone who broke into the garage. So 6 people about met the Mossberg. But luckily they got it all sorted out. And we have the new roof on the house. So all that's handled. No more turtle vents they can say are not up to code. It's all good in the hood, as one might say. So now for the annoying stuff. All of the things we've already done to help save our insurance, they're still mad that there is pressure-treated plywood covering a removed window. They want that fixed, and the room where we had the water leak from the leaky roof painted, or they're still not going to renew our insurance. They're telling us this today, which is November 12th. They want this all done by November 16th.
Mm.
So we need to, and they haven't even told us what they are classifying as appropriate siding to put over this, the board to make it compliant. So it's one of those things where we kind of need to know what you want. So hopefully this weekend we can sort it out. Because our mortgage is dependent on us having homeowners insurance. So if we lose our homeowners insurance, they will null our mortgage and we're homeless. And that's not good.
No.
There's a concerning amount of eviction talk on this show.
I know. And ours is because of, straight up assholes, not like we're missing payments or anything. Ours is literally, they were mad we had some peeling paint. And we dared to call them about a leaky roof that they should have covered. So, like, ours is potentially, we have legal recourse to take them to court if they, decide to cancel our insurance.
But that's time consuming and expensive, so preferably not.
Yeah. Like, it's cheaper just to put some siding up and possibly spray paint Farmer's Sucks on there. So yeah, hopefully we can get that handled this weekend. I'm going to a Digimon tournament, but with my eye, and it's supposed to be fairly sunny this weekend, I wouldn't be much help anyway, so I'm better off going to the tournament being out of everybody's way. So that's kind of my weekend. Is if they still need me to help with anything, like help paint inside, we can see where we're at Friday and or tomorrow. But right now it's more just better if I'm out of everybody's way. Family friend is going to be coming on Saturday afternoon. So hopefully between him and dad, they can get this board covered adequately. And then everything else, that should take care of their entire list, and they should have no reason to, cancel our homeowners insurance, and everything should be fine. So I guess we'll know next Wednesday what's going to shake down. Well, you guys people in the cast will know in the Discord what's going on because, that's how we do. And I think that's it for me. Well, until the end of the show when I have some fun stuff to announce for next week.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
Gulix. I think you're muted, Gulix.
Yep, sorry about that. Not too much going on over here. My sister is visiting us this week with her baby because her boyfriend is going camping and hunting in the Adirondacks this week, I guess, which is apparently a thing that people like to do. So I'm taking some time off from work to hang out with them and also hopefully get some other stuff taken care of. But spending time with them is the important part, really. Other than that, not too much going on, particularly since obviously I'm not working if I'm taking time off. So video game wise, I've been continuing to play Super Robot Wars Y, which got the release date for its first DLC, featuring among other things, the Kamen Rider W anime and the Big O, which are both perhaps slightly unusual picks, especially the Kamen Rider one, for Super Robot Wars, as being next week. I've also been playing a bit of Pokemon Legends ZA, though I need to do more of that. And just today, the local store that I had a gift card to finally got copies of Hyrule Warriors of Age of Imprisonment in, so I picked that up for $20 after the gift card, which was nice.
Oh man.
And that's pretty much about where I am.
Anything else?
I think that's all.
All right, that means it's my time to pick up the baton. Let me see. So, as mentioned last week, I visited the eye doctor. You know, things are about the same. I'm like, that's the long and short of it. Don't need new glasses. We'll need new glasses in the next few years. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Outside of that, not much else has been going on. Got a reprieve from the kids this weekend, which is always not so much welcomed, but quieter. Definitely quieter. Like, and that's about it for me this week. And yeah, I know this is wrapping up early, but Mac's not here to detail the trials and tribulations. I'm sure we'll get the full story next week, and we're all looking forward to it. So with that in mind, we move over to the interview portion of the broadcast, and it is my great pleasure to introduce Stephen Scott Day.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I've spent the last maybe I don't even know how many days it's been, but I've spent the last few days sort of recovering from jet lag and the other sort of debilitating fatigue from travel. So, yeah, I'm not in a particular rush to get back to speed. So I've just been, screwing around and playing video games, but doing better today.
Oh, well, where did you fly in from?
I flew in from London. It was a direct flight from London, but I was only there for a day for a layover. The last place I was in was Istanbul.
Oh.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Bordeaux. No, yeah, it was. Sorry, but actually, correction. I was in Bordeaux just before that for a week. I went to go visit a friend for Halloween.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done that kind of flying, and it leaves you jet lagged.
Yeah, I'm not like I don't feel like tired, but it is that weird sort of unnameable like just weird feeling of when you do get tired, it's at an odd time and it's all at once and it's very sudden. It's like you don't feel like it's coming on. It just kind of you just feel like crashing. So yeah, I'm slowly adjusting.
Yeah, it'll be a few days. But right. So I think I'll ask Mac's standard question here, and that is, what do you do?
It's a great question.
Yeah, well, not to spoil things too much, but it's actually a manifold question because you wear quite a few hats.
Yeah. I wear this one sort of light purple baseball cap that I got from Five and Below that says "Say Less" on it. It's embroidered, and it's been falling apart because I wash it a lot. So that's the main hat that I wear. The other hats that I go between are related to game development mostly. So I'd say in the last year, I've spent most of my time just working full time on my own projects, my own games, prototyping a lot of things. I shipped a game at the beginning of this year called Witch Stories, which was something I had been working on for last year, last Halloween. But then, secondly, I'd say that like just before that, like what was more of a job, but has now also become sort of like a support system for my game development is like making videos, doing YouTube production. Because for the last few years, since around the pandemic, I was making the official tutorials for Playmaker, which is what you might call a visual scripting asset for Unity. And for my own personal projects, like I said, I've been working on my own stuff for about the last year or so now. I just run my own YouTube channel still. That again was kind of started around the same time as when I started doing the tutorials for Playmaker. That's actually kind of how I ended up getting the job to do their official tutorials. So yeah, it's a bit of both of making the actual video game, but then on top of that, making videos related to video game development.
I guess it's appropriate that I'm helming this episode, given what our other show usually talks about.
Is that because of your involvement in like running video production stuff?
Well, no, we have a sister show called Fragments of Silicon that broadcasts right before this one and is focused on game dev.
Okay.
I chose you for this one because you do videos about that as well.
Right. Right.
Which fits well here. Like, so with that in mind, what made you want to chronicle game dev on YouTube in the first place?
In the beginning, it started solely as a pragmatic sort of business marketing kind of thing. The idea of the best time to grow an audience was yesterday, or start growing an audience, and you know the practicality is it's not entirely a guarantee, but it's definitely something that you could work towards. And I mean like the practicality of like, well, if you start a YouTube channel and if you make videos, will people show up? So it's not guaranteed, but if you're persistent and if you get good at it, if you make engaging things and sort of listen to what people have to say about what they like or what they don't like, or you know whatever you're responding to in your community, then you have relatively good reason to think that even with a modest amount of effort that you can build a community. And then, you know, whenever the time comes, whatever else you may be doing, you could just sell them whatever you want because they're just customers. They're a bunch of just pockets. That's all they are. They're just money, which is not true. But you know that's still essentially the idea. So there's sort of a balance of making a community of people that you can have friendship with, even collaborators, people that you admire. I've met like a lot of really awesome friends through just because they found my YouTube channel. But like the way it actually started was thinking like, well, you know, I have no means of advertising my game. I'm not a millionaire. I can't spend, you know, a shit ton of money just for you know, YouTube ads, Google AdSense, or putting posters up, whatever it is. So I need to rely on sort of more grassrootsy kind of things like this. So that's why I started. The reasons have since changed, but yeah.
Okay, I definitely understand where you're coming from here because once again, we speak to a lot of indie devs, and yeah, they don't have a lot of outlets to you know tell the world what they're making, and it's further compounded you know given how absolutely saturated the market is right now. You know, just games upon games upon games, and it's not just games, but it's a lot of you know there are so many good games out.
Right. And so many of which we don't even really hear about. So it's like the drip feed of things that you're even sort of exposed to is even bigger than the amount of things that like are out there that you would have liked, but because of whatever marketing factors or timing or weird sort of X factors that people still don't quite understand. It's like there's even more things out there that like I'm sure a lot of us would have loved, but yeah, marketing, it's a real thing. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yep. And as noted, on the indie dev, especially on the small team solo dev scale, you know, there's a ton of game dev resources out there. There's not a lot of game marketing tutorials out there.
Yeah, I suppose so. There are a few that I would say kind of have it like in spades, though. I think the few out there that exist are so thorough because I think here's kind of my take on it is that there's an abundance of technical tutorials out there. There's even sort of an abundance of theoretical tutorials out there, right? So you can go on YouTube and you can find anything about actually how to program a very specific line of code in Unity, Unreal, or Godot, whatever. And then you can also sort of like binge watch a bunch of theory stuff of game design principles of like, hey, most people don't like it when your game is designed this way, or most people prefer games when they're designed this way, or whatever. And so you can always just expect to throw a rock and hit one of those types. But the third category, like you're saying, of like not as much marketing tutorials out there, I think that it's not. I think it's better this way because
You don't
I'm
just say
actually
about people who offer to sell you or give you their secrets to financial success.
yeah, I've heard a lot of reasons, but what's the one that comes to mind for you?
Oh no, just
That it doesn't exist.
yeah, just the joke about the person. Just,
Right.
they're probably not actually giving away their actual secrets.
Right.
Sometimes the secret to my financial success is selling a book that offers to tell you the secret of financial success.
The secret to your financial success is you're an idiot.
See, I forgot. I mean, I'm sure this has been sort of parroted across a lot of platforms, but even when you watch, let's say, for example, God, this is getting so. It's turtles all the way down for this, but like, you know, if you watch a YouTube video about how to run a successful YouTube channel, you'll often hear sort of like, well, it doesn't matter if you're offering anything new or if you're particularly good at what you're doing. It's just that you're any good at all, and that the people watching are not as good as you are currently. And then on top of that, that you don't need to say anything new because what you're offering is sort of a different flavor, a different face or voice to which an audience can connect to and feel more safe. Like, you know, what you might tune into on YouTube, like literally the face of the person on the YouTube thumbnail, you might feel less inclined to click than another. And then so we're sort of like doing this like this filtration of everybody has like the perfect person to deliver the type of information they need, even if it's all basically the same information. And so I think that like right now, you know, teaching somebody how to make a video game or you know, like both on a technical and creative sort of level, that's an abundance because kind of like doesn't really take like the threshold is low to gain access to that. But I think because the few people out there who are teaching how to do marketing, like I think of Chris Kuzowski, whatever his name is, you know, how to sell a game on Steam or how to market a game on Steam guy. It's because he put in the hours. You know, he actually did a bunch of data collecting and sorting and actual like research into what constitutes like a good marketing strategy. And then he implemented them with people, and then he like followed up with people, and then he's been doing it for years. And so that's kind of why I think the spectrum of like, you know, sources that you can go to for that kind of information is smaller, is because like kind of nobody gives a shit about that stuff. I think most people are more like, I want to make the actual game. And so in a way, I think that's actually a good thing because there's not as much noise and you're not sifting through as much nonsense as you do when you're trying to find a tutorial on game design stuff.
Once again, running a game dev podcast has given us insight into this, and that is very much the case because we get all sorts of, you know, not just full-time devs, solo devs, teams, but a lot of part-timers, and they are much more about the game than if it's successful or not.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Which can be, depending on who you're asking, it could be kind of unfortunate.
it's all depending on the circumstances and context.
Mhm.
For some people, this is a side gig that's going to remain a hobby. For some, they're looking to make it their future.
Yeah,
Right.
there are some crazy enough who are mortgaging their fucking houses, banking on that their game will make them successful.
Yeah.
I
More power to
specifically
them.
remember that game. Ours did.
Cuphead. Cuphead. They mortgaged their house.
Yeah, Cuphead, but ours
We have
has
the
not
other
more.
end of that where it didn't do well.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cuphead and Owlboy did well.
Let's hang on to that. There's nothing quite as tasty as survivorship bias.
Yeah.
Indeed. But trying to figure out how to best ask this question, and I guess just go for it.
Yeah, swing.
What made your YouTube tutorials so appealing to Playmaker?
Well, Alex Chules, the creator of Playmaker, would be the best person to ask that. But he's not here right now, so I'll parrot or paraphrase what I can kind of recall him saying, but mostly because I was the guy answering and responding to the comments of the official Playmaker channels, comment sections for so long. What most people say is that, like, I was entertaining enough without it getting in the way, and that I kind of got to the point. A lot of people have also just personally one-on-one told me that the context by which I delivered information also made it more absorbable and sort of more quickly understandable. Like, people said that they didn't have to rewatch things as much because I said a few things up front. That prefaces seem to help a lot. So yeah, I think that, like, maybe Alex saw those things in me, and from what he, like, literally just the reason he said that he chose me to do it is just because I made good tutorials on my YouTube channel. The pandemic kicked off and I was doing YouTube videos, like, just sort of at my own pace and kind of in my own style, and they were like, "You're funny, you are informative, and you can edit videos well. How would you like to do the official tutorials?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, yeah, I think the sort of the foundations of our relationship and me making all of their content has been mostly off of the fact that, like, I was familiar with the product, I was entertaining, and I could make videos.
And are you still doing videos for Playmaker?
Yes. It's kind of like if you would have asked, and I'm totally comparing myself to Stanley Kubrick here. If you would have asked Stanley Kubrick if he still makes movies in, like, the 1980s, when it had been, like, a good decade and a half of him not making a movie, he probably still would have said yeah too. But, like, the fact remains that, like, there has been no videos made, right? Like, if you look at the YouTube channel, I don't know when it was now, but I think it's been years at this point. I think the last video I put out for them was, I want to say, over a year and a half, pushing maybe even 2 years now. So while I may not have made anything right now, I don't think it's super secret anymore, but Playmaker 2's on the way. Like, Alex made a forum post, and there's, I think, some talks even in the public Discord that there's a private beta going on. So people have been testing Playmaker 2 for a while now, and it's gearing up to be published, and I can't really say much more than that. I don't even have particularly accurate information about anything more beyond that. But yeah, I've used Playmaker 2 a bunch, and me and Alex have talked about me making the videos for it. So I still make videos for them, but it's been a long time since I have, and I'm actually not even sure when the next time I will make videos for them will be. But it'll be Playmaker 2 videos, not, I don't think, Playmaker videos.
Right, that makes sense. If a new version of the kit is on the way.
Yeah, 15 years coming, so I hope soon. That way, also, I'm not totally out of work and I can stop eating into my savings.
Concerning.
Yeah.
Remember, kids,
Well,
don't mortgage your
yeah.
house on a game dev.
Right. I haven't. It's like it's more along the lines of like of oh God, I forgot what his name was, but the dude that Plato or somebody watched eating from like a dog bowl and he wore nothing, and if you live modestly, it's a little easier. But yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be sitting on a little chunk of change, and yeah.
And what about your regular YouTube videos? Do you do the sponsorship Patreon thing that some YouTubers do?
I have a Patreon. I had a Gumroad subscription running. The Gumroad actually performed better. So about 2 years ago, I started a Gumroad subscription, and I reached out to everybody and just said like, "Hey, I want to focus full time on this game, Memories of a Spy, a game that I had been sort of working on and off over a few years, and I wanted to go on it full time and just ship the damn thing." And so the promise was that if you subscribe to this written sort of daily blog update, that yeah, you can expect to wake up to a nice devlog, a written one. So I kind of stopped doing videos for the most part, and was just writing what I had produced in that day. And that I think was more appealing to people and more understandable to people. And I think a lot more people were behind it too because of the promise that the game that I was working on, that's what a lot of people knew me for too. But now currently I run a Patreon, and only a few of like basically friends at this point are supporting me. They toss me a few bucks every month, and it's beyond modest, but it's nice that I can take myself out to the movies on the weekends with a friend or something like that, but it's not nearly enough to like pay any bills in any meaningful way or anything. And it's significantly less than when I was running the Gumroad subscription.
Right. So what I'm thinking here is, Petty, if you can line up one of our guests' tutorial videos to show
Alrighty.
Oh, by the way, I just saw you shared in the Discord. Those are my personal tutorials. And a moment ago, when I was saying making the Playmaker tutorials, that's where the most up-to-date Playmaker tutorials are. That's where I stopped doing tutorials on my YouTube channel a long time ago.
Okay. Well, let me hunt down the Playmaker.
I can send that unless you find it first. I'll race you.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I need to make sure I save last week's video. Mac doesn't remember if he did that or not.
Right. A lot of live things are happening. That's the fun
Fuck
of
it, we'll do it live.
Yeah.
Yep. Am I? Is it? Should I not be swearing? I forgot to ask.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine.
I'm gonna run my damn mouth now. I just put the Hutong's game link in the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so the last one I put out was a year ago, but I think that might even be longer ago. I'd be curious to see what the actual date. January 9th, 2024.
Yeah. That is longer than a year. Like YouTube, like after you get after a year, will only count the years.
Right.
So, yeah, it can be like a year and 11 months, and it'll still say 1 year.
Yeah.
well, everything's getting in alignment. I suppose it's worth asking, like, what specific things about Playmaker did you lay out to those who use it?
Um, like it.
Like,
When
were there
yeah,
any
yeah.
specific quirks of Playmaker that needed to be laid out as compared to, like, say, Game Maker or Unity or anything else out there?
Well, so Playmaker is a tool to be used within Unity. Um, and I guess let me know if this answers the question. But that when I've told people about it, I guess the best way to say this is that like when I really started using it was just before the pandemic, and I remember wanting to send it to friends to show them to be like, look how cool this is, and being like upset that the homepage of the asset sort of didn't really tell the story of like what the tool did and didn't like fully like I feel like it didn't sell it. It was very much like marketed by a programmer, Alex, and that kind of sells it short in a lot of ways. And so for me, what I used to tell people was that like it was um, that it was an intuitive way of programming games that literally being able to type into a little box like things that are using natural language. And before, this is before LLMs, by the way. Of course, like things have gotten crazy in their own ways as far as using natural language to program things, but like that there was a search bar where you could type in using natural language things that you might expect to find in like a toolbox of programming a game, and that you could browse the results to find something that you could then sort of drop in and just plug and play and test. Like, okay, well, I think if I search the move towards action, I'm going to search in this little toolbox, move towards, because I want a thing to move towards something. And then you find something called move towards. And then you drop that in and you kind of tweak some of the variables and you're like, oh, okay, I could see how this works. And it's just a matter of tweaking the parameters. The fact that it like exposes the parameters too, like a lot of the times when I was like trying to share it with people or trying to sell it to like my friends, I was like, dude, we should like make stuff with this because look. And then I would literally just kind of like do a quick demonstration because everything just feels really intuitive when you see it in action. Speaking about it is like a little harder, especially to any listeners right now, or if you're like text messaging a friend. A lot of the times when I was trying to tell people was like over Discord, I'm shooting messages over, and it's like you don't quite get it until you see it, and then when you see it, like a lot of it clicks. Like it, some people still have like a little learning curve for sure, but like it's it really is a matter of sort of seeing it all come together because it just looks like a flow chart with little nodes. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
I think it does. So I think what gets to the heart of the matter here is you provided a great deal of what they call conveyance to the asset.
Yeah. Yeah. So they needed to like their value needed to be illustrated in a way that was like quickly and sort of intuitively understood.
Um, and yeah, like something that can be lacking among. What's the best way to put it? Those who just use the tool base day in, day out. You know, a bit of we know how this works, everyone should know how this works.
Mm.
Kind of an echo chamber effect. Like, which is it's actually a bit of an issue in many branches of game dev.
Mm.
Just usually when this comes up, it's in difficulty. Like, I've heard so many stories of game devs making a game extra hard because they did all their own play testing.
Yeah, and they didn't
got
realize they were
Right.
making it ungodly hard.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why sometimes an outside perspective is really important. You know?
Yeah, that was there was kind of a catch-22 in the beginning. When I first started making tutorials for them, I was still in the process of learning. I had not so thoroughly I think I had only been using Playmaker like maybe 3 months before they hired me to make their official tutorials. Um, but you know, like it was because the handful of things that I did understand, I feel like I understood pretty well. It's not like I didn't learn anything beyond that, but that like up front, that was a good jumping off point. But I think, but the sort of like weird trade off there was that like if you look back at the older tutorials that I made for them, there are a handful. It's a small amount, but it's a handful of choices that I made and a handful of concepts that I teach that I think I would either not do or do very differently altogether now. And it's just because I learned how to use things so much better over time. You know, that's just going to happen. But like what Alex valued, you know, to the point that you're making is that like I think what he valued is the fact that like I was using language to explain things in a way that he didn't quite have anymore because he had, you know, he's the one. He not only was he lost in the sauce, he was the chef of the sauce. You know, so like it was language that was unavailable to him in many ways. And so he always just sort of trusted me with that, which is crazy because it's a bit of a gamble, you know. He at least overlooked the video, so I'm sure he would have called something out if it was terrible to begin with. But he definitely did, you know, see these tutorials and be like, you know, it was just like, yeah, this is. I wouldn't have said it that way, but I think that sounds right. Go ahead, ship it, and then you know I shipped the tutorial. So yeah, I think you're spot on with this sort of the point of people kind of forgetting what it means to have beginner's mind.
Right. And that being said, was there ever a tutorial vid that didn't go out because of one reason or another?
There were some videos that I worked on alongside with additional assets that I was building. I was building this like sort of dialogue system companion piece, not the Pixel Crushers dialogue system, but like our own proprietary Playmaker dialogue system that I was trying to build and sort of like in tandem make videos with, just so I can almost have my own documentation, but also so I kind of remembered where I was at. So there was like a few things like that never got shipped. I think like maybe also I was building like a proprietary sort of like plug and play inventory system thing that never got finished. I was doing a lot of other things. I think for the most part though, it wasn't so much that tutorials didn't get shipped. I think there were sort of like actual assets and parts of the product that didn't get shipped that I was trying to help develop alongside Playmaker.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. If something, you know, if an asset didn't ship, then there's no point in having a tutorial for it.
Yeah, yeah, which I which I regret. There was some lessons learned there. I was like, okay, I need to be a little bit more strict about what I jump into production on.
Hard lessons sometimes happen.
Yes.
Like, and I suppose that does lead me to another question, and that is, how much of the process did you become once you know you became the official Playmaker tutorial guide? Like, did your commentary influence their development, and vice versa?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. There were a lot of situations in which, like, so for the longest time, Playmaker has this add-on called the ecosystem, and it's a module that you can open within Unity that lets you download additional components that work with Playmaker from a GitHub repository. So it's just like a nice little interface. You could just as easily go to the GitHub repo and download them straight from there, but there's this nice little sort of in-editor tool that they have called the ecosystem. And the ecosystem lets you browse like a few different types of things. There's packages altogether, which is like it kind of puts a bunch of stuff into one. There's samples, which are also technically packages, but they're sort of like more curated, and you can kind of open them up and then see like a scene and sort of play with things and sort of get like and kind of have like a very curated way of like exploring some type of tool. And then there are templates and actions. And not to get too lost in the sauce here, I'll try to give you the nutshell version of this. But in Playmaker, if you can imagine sort of a state machine is what its primary component is. So it's kind of like making a flow chart of things. So if you can imagine in your head just a big flow chart with a bunch of boxes and little lines connecting all the boxes, right? Within each of those boxes are a set of instructions of like what the thing should do. So in each of those boxes, you might say, okay, add 1, and then check if that number is bigger than this, and then if so, then go to this state, and if not, go to this other state, or something like that, right? So each of those little steps, each of those little pieces of instructions is called an action. And they can go very low level, like doing some math, and they can also go very high level, like make character jump, or something like that. And so the ecosystem primarily is used for downloading actions. That's what most people go there for, because they want some very specific thing in their action set. There's like a one called float remap, which is something that you could do with a few math actions separately. Individually, you could do some like division and then sort of add some stuff up, and you can kind of like make two numbers align with each other in a very specific way. But there's also just one action that does all of that you can get from the ecosystem. So people use it a lot for that. But what they didn't use it for was the other category called templates. And templates are for putting an entire FSM, so the whole flowchart that you just built, you could put all those into a single file, into an FSM template. And reuse them over and over again. So you can have an FSM template that's used for a door that you can lock, unlock, open, close, open slowly, just like the whole thing, or even have a whole template for a character movement or something like that. And so Playmaker had that as an option to search the ecosystem for like nearly, I want to say like by the time I had gotten to them, it was probably like 7 years or maybe 6 years or something. Many years had passed. This category was on it, and there was not a single FSM template on there. And my impression was that this could have been one of the most powerful sort of ways to expose people to it, and sort of like community building, and also just sort of like, it could turn your dev process, like you could just get super cracked out in your dev process having a bunch of templates available to you through this repo. So when I expressed that to them, they're like, oh yeah. It's just so funny. Alex is like this, he's a genius. Alex Chules is like one of the most brilliant sort of like designers of a tool. I don't know how smart he is in like programming or anything. I think he's probably pretty good because he was able to pull this off. But as a designer, building a good tool, he's a genius. And it's so funny because for him to be like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like we should have had that for the last few years. It's like, dude, how did you miss this? How did you miss it? So from that point on, that was one of the points. That was one of the earlier examples that I think sort of kind of being on this team, sort of I made my own sort of stamp or influence into how Playmaker, how the future of Playmaker went. Because I ended up making a handful of templates that people now pretty regularly use, and that there's tutorials made for them, and yeah, it's unfortunate because that didn't grow quite as much. I really wish it really could have taken off, but I think there's a sort of that's a whole other story to just kind of talk about the threshold of managing an online sort of ecosystem of additional components. But yeah, that's one way that comes to mind.
Indeed, and here's something I've been wondering about as well, and that is, what was the feedback from like actual game developers? What did the people who use these tools to make games say about your tutorials?
So the people who use the tool are not always vocal. it's hard to say how many of these people ended up being what I might even qualify, even in the most like generous way, a game developer. Because some of these people really are just like, oh, I took a weekend off. I kind of wanted to see if I could make a game, and so I just looked at the first sort of beginner tutorials. And those people can end up being quite vocal because they're like, great, you helped me learn the very first steps, right? And so that's going to be a different answer from the people who have either been using it for years or even like rely on it as like their main tool that they use for their job. And so there's been a lot of people who have reached out to me and said, hey, dude, just wanted to let you know I landed a job today where I use Playmaker for everything I do, and I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I watched your tutorials.
Like there are some places who use like game development tools to make like safety presentations for their job that isn't really gamified, but holy shit, you can use some of this stuff to make stuff for your job that would take a marketing budget and stuff to get actors to do it, or lock Joey in a room for 12 hours and a few tutorials and he can get it done in a third of the price.
Right. And it's a whole spectrum, like you said, like a safety thing. There's this dude, Jean Fabre, who's kind of one of the OGs in the Playmaker community, who was there before me, and even him, he stopped doing as much Playmaker work because he used Playmaker, the tool itself, to go on and make big, I think like drilling and like large scale sort of like machinery simulations to run like physics sims of like giant machines that they would like use underground and in construction sites and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I have another friend who also does who used Playmaker for many years now to do like well, geez, I don't even know what it is, but basically for these big car companies. I think he does like sort of like little simulations of what the inside of being in a car, like a new car, is like, or something like that.
There's the other friend who I talk about what he do. There will be a van pulled up in my house by the end of the hour.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
No, just that kind of joke. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of things, and I, as far as like what people have said about it, like it really varies. And here's just on that point, like I feel like this is kind of related, and I just wanted to say that like there is a vocal minority, and then there is like a non-vocal. No, actually, I would say there's a vocal minority, and then there's the non-vocal minority. The non-vocal minority is the more troubling one for me, because just about every year some huge indie hit comes out that used Playmaker in some capacity. I think Blueprints was the last one that came out.
That used Playmaker. That one, yeah.
And so it's not really like, there's not a lot of public information, because there's kind of that weird dichotomy back to what we were talking about earlier, the people who like are making games or have a YouTube to make it. There's some people out there who are just like, I keep my head down, I make my game, I put the thing out. Marketing aside, like that doesn't really matter. There's a million ways to market a thing without having to have a YouTube channel, and nobody will ever know what tools I used or like whatever unless I explicitly say so. And so there's a lot of projects out there that like will go sort of like unknown that they were built with Playmaker unless somebody rips them apart and uses one of those like those tools to kind of look for certain components, which you can do, but it's just, it takes time.
Free version of certain tools, or they have to put a splash screen at the front, or else they
which Playmaker
lose
does not
access.
require. Right. So as far as what people say about Playmaker, what devs say about it, I think maybe a more telling thing would be to go to the Unity asset store and then look at the Playmaker asset page. You could read reviews, but I would say more importantly to look at the rating on it, which is 5 stars, unless it's changed since the last time I looked at it, which I don't think I think it's too heavily weighted into 5 stars at this point. It should be 5 stars, and then if you look at the URL for the asset page for Playmaker, the number at the end of it is basically the ID in order of being on the asset store. It's so old, it's like one of the only remaining assets that still hits the front page that has a 3-digit ID number.
Damn. I joke about my dad being so old his social security number is 1.
Right. Same joke. Wait, a little nerdier. But yeah, dude. And it's like, that's literally kind of like the metric that I use a lot of the time is that like, it's, again, Alex is just a genius as far as like being designing a tool that he understands, because he's also an artist, that he understands as somebody who straddles both worlds. He's sort of like, he took the Joseph Campbell's, like journey where it's like you start at this point where you can like transition into the new world, become a master of that world, but then you must return to your original world as a master of both. And I think sort of being an artist and a technician is something that is like incredibly difficult to let's say the word master. There's I can get really in the weeds about that kind of thing, but let's just call it being a master of both, being an artist and a technician. And he's somebody who comes maybe about as close as anybody can get. Like, it's like imperceptibly, like everybody lands maximum 10 out of 10, and I think he's there. So yeah, Playmaker is a pretty extraordinary thing, and I think it's summed up on its asset page.
Indeed. And that's as good a segue as we can get, I think, to your own game, and that is Memories of a Spy.
Yeah. Yep.
So
what about Memories of a Spy?
well, you bill it as a crazy 1960s espionage simulator.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's so Memories of a Spy, as many indie dev projects go, started as a much smaller game, a very different game as from what it's currently sort of being designed as, and has ballooned into this sort of exceptionally difficult like delve into simulation, because it's I've made a lot of games in the last few years, and I don't like to quibble, whatever. I don't like to get all caught up in what I call things, but it's at this point, Memories of Spy is almost kind of too hard to call a game. In the same way that people might not call Dwarf Fortress a game, right? It's more of like a toy. It's more of like this thing that you can kind of screw around with, but there's no like win state. Like if somebody says like, "Hey, how do you win Dwarf Fortress?" It's like, I don't know. Like, how the hell do you want to define that? It's like, and there's similarly, no, there's no lose state. And so Memories of a Spy at this point now has become this thing that I think
there is a lose state. It's like when your colony completely dies. But yeah.
But even then, can't you still occupy that world with the history of that colony having completely died?
Honestly, I don't know.
I think that's how it works. I think it is like I think it's an ever-living world that you can continuously like sort of repopulate, always holding on to the past data of your prior runs. Unless I'm totally mistaken, but yeah. And to be fair though, Tarn Adams said like we try to make losing fun, which I think again it kind of comes into the whole point of like language is lost on us, because like losing might just be somebody dying, or like you said, like losing a colony or something, but then you could sort of like say, well, oh, that's fun, that's exciting, because now we get to look at that as a history, or sort of like learn from, these dwarves will learn from their lessons, and et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, Memories of a Spy is something that like I'm unsure of at this point, but it might become one of those things that's like my life work kind of thing, where like I continue to make other things throughout my life, but that I might always be tinkering with this one on the side, or at least for a very extended period of time. But other than that, I guess the nutshell version is it's like I'm trying to make not necessarily James Bond, but more of, if you're familiar with the novelist Jean Le Carre, or if that's how you pronounce his name, but it's more sort of like a toned down, less sensational take on the spy genre, and to say that it's specifically around the same time as well, like during the 1960s, and to still sort of use the symbols that you might see more also in like James Bond though, of like, okay, we're going to DC, Paris, London, Berlin, and Moscow, because those are like the big places that you think of when you think of like spies, sipping scotch and hiding in the shadows in like a club, and then following somebody to their car and like not shooting them, but just like taking note of who they were with. Like that's the kind of game that I'm building. I want it to be this pressure cooker that prolongs violence, and then that whenever there is violence, that it might happen sort of very briefly in an instant, but for it to be sort of like tenfold more meaningful than any other violence that you would normally sort of encounter. Yeah, that's kind of my dream, and that's sort of what I've been working on for the past 5 years, except for the last year, which I took off.
And
having done a quick check, apparently after you do lose Dwarf Fortress, you can send another crew to reclaim the fortress or go visit an adventure mode or something. So yeah, you
Right.
can lose, but it's not the end.
Right. It's like you get to choose what losing is.
Yeah, I just wanted to check so I wasn't promoting misinformation.
Sure, me too. I'm glad you checked my ass on that.
I suppose it's worth asking, what made you want to make this Dwarf Fortress spy simulator in the first place?
That's a really funny way of putting it. Well, okay, so it originally started. Have you guys ever played anything by Blendo Games? Like have you played Gravity Bone?
Not that
Or
one.
or Quadrilateral Cowboy?
I know we've
familiar.
done something with that one.
I've heard of
Okay.
Colorado Cowboy, yeah.
Well, anyways, the most recent one is Skin Deep. I would say it's a slight departure from what his sort of like first handful of games were. But I wanted to make it more like those original games, because those games were pretty linear. They had all these bespoke moments that I really loved. They had this great like world building, and like there's no escaping this. I was just like I've already just been a fan of that kind of like the sort of like, let's call it the vintage spy genre, like vintage Cold War spy fiction, and those original games really tapped into that in maybe a more fantastical way. And so I set out to make a game that like would sort of tap into the same places that it was inspired by, to try to make a game that felt like you were playing in a Saul Bass movie poster, to make a game that felt like you were participating in like some jazz set, like or really sort of immerse you in the spirit or the essence of like 1960s sort of paranoia. And I wanted to make it in as simple as way as possible, but also to make a few sort of randomized things, a few things that like could surprise me a little bit, because I was like, oh, okay, well, like it's not as exciting to really work on this when I know exactly what the outcome is, because I won't be able to play it. And that feeling of building a thing and wanting to be surprised by it kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And eventually I did sort of have this revelation where I was like, okay, so actually, in a very selfish way, I want to make this game so I can play it, which means I can't have bespoke sequences. I can't have manually authored sequences. I need to make it like super systemic. I need to basically build a simulation, which is a curse, because one, it's already extraordinarily difficult to make simulation games. People call the immersive sim genre the studio killer, because so many studios have started it, went bankrupt, and then never shipped it. And then on top of that, I also didn't want to make it an action game, which is sort of the easiest genre to tackle, because it's like the one that video games understand most. There's more wells to draw from if I was going to do an action game. But me, I was like, oh wait, but the exciting thing is like information and lying and sort of like soft skills and socializing and sort of like the more complex aspects of being a person with other people around you scrutinizing your every move, and you're scrutinizing their move, and trust and all these sort of things, which video games don't really put that much effort into by and large, to sort of simulate. You know, like, we don't really have a lot of places where like somebody gave a lot of thought on how to like lie to another NPC effectively, or even how to have an NPC lie to you effectively in a way that doesn't feel canned or campy or just sort of like obvious. And yeah, so like my move was to sort of take all of the theatrics of those Blendo games, but to kind of embody, or what do you call it, imbue them with a complexity that I could end up like sort of getting lost in myself, even if I was the guy who designed it. So that's kind of what my motivation was to build this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, especially the action part, because yeah, most spy games tend to be either action or surprisingly a lot less, but stealth.
Right, right. Which is still, you might call it the foreplay to action. I think stealth, as mechanically speaking, when you're designing it, is a way of kind of doing this action foreplay, because you're teasing and building tension off of the threat of action. So you're still sort of tapping into the same intuitive, choices that players are making, the same sort of lizard brain, like design principles that you use for action. It's still using so many of these parts of your brain to engage with something that is kind of like the antithesis to it. But I think they're two sides of the same coin, is like action and stealth. And that stealth is, I would hope, is going to be something that is also, very big in Memories of a Spy. But yeah, I think for the most part, though, I've been really trying to figure out how you design a game based off of the tension of information, of very sort of abstracted, menial, kind of I want people to tell stories that get them super excited. I want players to have these really impassioned stories that they tell their friends about play sessions with, that revolve around, and it's because I forgot to whatever, close the blinds, or I left my apple by the door instead of in the kitchen where it was when I first got there, and he saw that it was moved. Like little things like that seem so tedious and menial. I hope people can also understand there's enormous opportunity for drama that has been working in movies and TV shows for years, that we just don't see in video games.
I'm like, that reminds me of a very specific video game, Civilization.
Okay, sure. That's a very character-centric video game too.
Can be, depends on which Civilization you play.
Oh, sure.
Earlier Civilizations were very much less character-centric. I mean, there's always been characters, but you didn't have as much space to have character, so to speak.
Okay, I guess what I mostly meant is a play style between you and these other places that is sort of designated by your kind of human understanding of their choices, almost sort of you're projecting they're the type of country to make this decision, it's in their character to be more like this than that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can get that from Civilization, especially if you have other human players.
Right, and that's a big thing that I've had a lot. I remember a friend of mine, he's like, man, he was bummed to find out, because I had also did a bunch of R&D for a multiplayer. I did a bunch of network tests to make to make Memories of a Spy an online multiplayer game. And when I gave that up because of technical things, and also because I'm one man, one of my friends was like, "Oh, I'm bummed to hear that." He's like, "I think the best version of your game exists as a multiplayer game," and I don't totally agree with that, but I know where he was coming from, and I think that foundationally, what I hope will make the game exceptional will be the player's experience of interacting with other um, with with a very strong illusion of intelligence. And like that's I think that can go for both if you did it networked, with your friends and you guys are playing against NPCs, or even as like a solo player. Um, but yeah, that's yeah, multiplayer could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, multiplayer in general is where you can get a lot of bespoke interactions, but that's kind of due to the nature of humanity.
Right. And it's unfortunate that like you can't put a gun to every player's head and say you better role play like this is the 1960s,
Jesus.
because like everybody, you sign terms of agreement every time you sign in, where but I think that there's a lot of players who would be like crazy enthusiastic about actually role playing, but that's my
No doubt,
whatever
no doubt.
hangups as a designer.
Reminds me of there was this one GTA Vice City server where like it was multiplayer, but you had all the people playing as NPCs.
Yeah.
And so you had
Okay.
people dedicated to playing the role as a taxi driver.
Yeah, there
nice. Yeah, I love
are
that.
there are a lot
And
of
they were really into
GTA
it.
role play servers. There's also like Minecraft role play.
People are interesting
Right.
creatures. That being said, Dwarf Fortress has come up a few times in conjunction with this product, let's call it.
Sure.
My next question is, how are you aiming to replicate the quirky randomness of Dwarf Fortress? Like I just posted this in the meme server here, or the meme channel. Like apparently just one of their latest bug reports, apparently babies are born worshiping unknown gods.
Yeah.
Which
right.
is,
So
how do you aim to get that?
Yeah, right. I don't aim to that. In fact, I staunchly, okay, so there's this thing comes to mind. There's this like great clip. I forgot who says it. I think it might be in a no clip documentary, but somebody's describing their experiences working at, their experiences talking to developers at id and developers at Valve, who were both working on games at the same time. I think it was Valve was working on Half-Life 2 and id was working on Doom 3. They may have been at different times, but they were kind of compared at the same time in regards to how their developers thought about the physics, which at the time were sort of like big, like, oh, we're leaning into the physics aspects of these games. And at id, they did everything in their power to mitigate the janky illusion breaking physics like situations. So there's a lot of like bars, there's a lot of like sort of protection rails around Doom 3 that don't really let the player have a lot of agency, that sort of like really narrow the actions, the verbs that the player can engage with, right? Become really, really narrow. Whereas in Half-Life 2 is it gives you such a higher degree of agency because of the tools given to you. And that there was like, this conversation basically of like, oh, hey, there's this really cool in-editor only tool where we can like pick up physics objects with like gravity and stuff. And somebody was like, that'd be pretty cool if we like put it in the game. Like it should be a tool in the game. They're like, yeah, we call it like the gravity gun or something. And they're like, yeah, fuck it. It's actually just fun. Let's do it. There's going to be things that are outside of our control that become like really silly jank. But the payoff for that degree of player agency and all of the sort of emergent situations that come out of that is going to be so much higher than whatever the cost of like, oh, that was a janky moment. Like nobody gives a shit. They're just like, they're trying to have fun and they'll get over that moment like very quickly. So that sort of like has always stuck in my mind when I've worked on Memories of a Spy, and as far as like this babies are born worshiping unknown gods thing, as well as the infamous like cats licking their paws after walking around in a bar and then they die of alcohol poisoning, like things like that. I am not totally frightened of. I think that I've already had a few moments like that were really funny with some friends, and and it was interesting, and I kind of got over it in just a second because it's more fascinating that the world behaves in this way that then you can sort of like in your mind reverse engineer, well, how the hell did that happen? And since the system is transparent in that way, you're kind of like, oh, you actually feel more immersed because you understand that this world does abide by some set of rules, and that it isn't completely off the rails where like, you know, there's not like It the Clown popping out and reading a Geico ad and then doing a big dance. You know, it's like there's nothing that like totally shatters the illusion of being in this time and space so far. So when I design things, I'm generally thinking in as many steps ahead as I possibly can, as far as like how they won't render all the other systems in the game sort of like unnecessary, because I don't want anybody to become a super spy. I want it to feel just as hard to collect information and to sort of carry out missions as it may have been for like somebody in the 1960s, because I find that's where all sort of like the entertaining parts are, and that's kind of the only really principle that I use to go by. There's not too many things that worry me about this. I'm kind of excited. I hope it doesn't get too janky. But yeah, it could be exciting.
Oh, I mean, I can't really hazard a guess, given that, you know, the jank is part of the charm of Dwarf Fortress.
Right.
You know,
And Half-Life 2, you know, like a lot of games.
True. But like Dwarf Fortress in particular, like, you know, the developers didn't intend these things to happen. They just happened because that's how the game's put together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a few moments that I had in that, even in the current iteration of the game. You know, there's some really simple ones. Like I remember when I was testing the networked thing, a friend had like eaten a croissant or something in game. Like his character, he picked up a croissant and he ate it, and he died. Like right out, he fell down, and he's like, "Oh, I just like ragdoll." I was like, "Oh, like that means you died." I don't have hunger on right now, so you couldn't have died of that. But then I realized that a friend earlier who had eaten an eclair, which I knew was poisoned, he died too because he ate a poisoned eclair, obviously. But he had also interacted with other items after having touched the poisoned eclair. So he had residue of poison on his hands and then had touched other things, which had eventually made its way to a croissant, which then sort of inadvertently poisoned this croissant. And so little moments like that, it's like that was a little extreme. You know, I don't know how many, you know, micrograms of potassium cyanide really are needed to kill a human being. It felt like a bit much to just exchange by touching things.
Well, similar to the talking about Dwarf Fortress. It's similar to the cats dying from licking their paws after walking in puddles of alcohol after spilling was implemented.
That's 100% the example that comes to mind. So it's like with small tweaks that you could see that the systems are like, they reveal themselves to you as these really entertaining things. So maybe tweaking a few of them after some moments like that are just cool stories for like the history books, you know, and then you tweak it so it doesn't happen again. But then you know that like, okay, in the long history of like of how this thing used to function, like that's a great story to tell. I love hearing the cat's story all the time. It never gets old. And there's other ones too. I think there was a like there was this one time I was testing it with a friend, and we were testing the new travel system because like there's 6 different cities in the game, and they're all the distance between them is like, you have to take a plane or a train between these places. So like in testing the travel system, me and my friend ended up like at night in Berlin, and I was showing him like the new hotel that I built, and it's like, you can go to every floor and take the elevator and stuff. And then he was like, "Hey, what are you doing down there?" Because we were talking on a Discord call. And he's like, "What are you doing down there?" And I'm like, I'm in the room next to you. Look, I'm here in the bathroom. And he's like, "Oh, who's that?" And when he said that, like my heart dropped, because I was like, "There's no NPCs in this. I didn't spawn any NPCs." And it was one of those like creepypasta, like, is there like a ghostly, additional player in this server right now, in this private test server? And I looked outside and I see somebody, and they're sort of only barely lit by like the light of this like lamp that had fallen down somewhere. And I was like, that is the creepiest fucking thing I've seen, because we're at like the top floor of a hotel, and he's like all the way across like a park, like you could see him on the other side of the park. And it was just so funny to me after we had realized like when my friend moved, this other character moved in the exact same way. So basically what happened, there was just a bug that spawned two of him, and at different points. And so by whatever weird means of like bumping into things, they had just become out of sync, and one ended up over there and my friend was over there. And it was all very funny. But it was kind of like one of those things where like, just because of the nature of being able to like have these vantage points and these viewpoints that I specifically designed in the game to like, oh, so you should be able to spot somebody through this like corridor, or perfectly framed on this horizon and stuff like that. Like that's where we saw him, and it's like I had designed that place to be seen for, NPCs. And yeah, here it was sort of manifesting like way earlier than I ever anticipated. It was funny.
And how big are you aiming to make this game, so to speak? Like, are you going to be traversing over a city, a nation, somewhere in between?
Well, if you looked at the Steam page, you'd kind of get an idea. I don't think all of the cities are represented there. Or, yeah, I think that's probably the best place just to quickly go through them. But like, it's 6 small cities. Each city is like a major metropolitan city, like the ones I listed off, and they are about like they are about two sort of square blocks of usable, occupiable space. Because I don't like the idea of facades. I don't want like a lot of unenterable buildings in my game. I'd rather just have a smaller area where you can kind of go inside of everything. And so I set that rule really early for myself, is like, it's going to be small blocks of a city that are dense. So the detail of this very small selection per city should be enough to like, sort of foster all of the drama that you would need. And between each city, they all have their own airports. So DC has an airport, London has an airport, Paris. So you basically end up having 12 major environments that you can traverse. And the airports are all about like a quarter of the size of each of their cities, because they're sort of like a sizable space that I also want drama to unfold in. Those, I think, if you go to my personal YouTube channel, you can see me modeling some of those back in the day. I lay out the airports. So the actual scale of the world that the player will end up inhabiting will end up being like relatively small compared to something like, I don't know, like GTA, or like Skyrim, or any game that is sort of like that we think of as the poster child for open world. I'm not coming close to that. It's very, very small in comparison. But like I said, hopefully the sort of density of enterable buildings, it's about 4 sections per city. So like, for example, DC has a library, which is 2 stories, a tiki lounge, and a motel, which is also 2 stories. And each city also has an intelligence agency. So there's sort of like a building that is hard to enter unless you actually work for them, or unless you're a spy who has managed a way to like infiltrate it or whatever. And those are also relatively small-ish on the upper floor. Beneath them, there's a procedurally generated office structure. So, players can't like just memorize shit that every time they play through, they at least have to kind of like learn the new seed of this place like it's brand new, because I don't want people sort of like, that feels like a bit of a cheat. But other than that, like it's very small actual city space between those buildings. They're all neighboring to each other. So if you can just imagine sort of 6 lots, almost like 6 little courtyards. Each city is almost like its own little courtyard. Some are slightly bigger than others. Some are more oblong. Some are more square. And yeah, I think it's, all things considered, it's small comparatively. It's big for a solo developer, which makes me wish I had somebody to help me with this shit. But I think it'll be more than enough. I think it's a substantial amount of space for players to interact with, so people don't feel bored or sort of get tired with the space as they play.
Well, hopefully that is the case.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
I suppose it's worth asking, what is the current development status of Memories of a Spy?
Oh man, I gotta clip this and then upload it to my own YouTube channel. This is a question I I get a lot, and I've been getting for the past year, especially because I think about a year ago, or just no, oh shit, no, it's actually been about 2 years. Oh wow, I can't believe it. Sorry, my life just flashed before my eyes right now. I've been away. I haven't been in the United States for like a whole year, and so like. I just got back a few days ago, and that all still kind of is barely, I'm barely sort of registering that as I come home. So it's been about 2 years now since people got a proper update on the game. And the last place that I was at, and to kind of hopefully answer this question in as thorough but also as a concise possible way, the game as it stands right now is in a really good place for its macro design. I finally have settled on something. If you've been following along with the project, you'll know that it's been probably the biggest sort of pain point of the game, is to figure out how to design the sort of like macro, what motivates players to do what things, like what is the overarching sort of goals that people can engage in. And I think that has largely been solved finally. That was the last sort of thing that I cracked before I put it on hiatus, before I took a break. And aside from that, the actual sort of the micro, the systems that will hopefully support that larger loop, I would say that about 75% of the micro systems have been built, maybe even like 80%. They need to be fine-tuned, and they need content built for them. But they are the systems that I have been working on the longest and iterating over and prototyping over I think like 3 different versions of the game, or 4 different versions the game has gone through at this point. So hopefully that last 20% of systems, plus sort of polishing the ones that are already built, making sure that they're nice and stable, and then of course providing all the content for them, is sort of the last stride. And if, as far as like game development goes, I think a lot of people will tell you, like, when you have the systems done, like that is like some of the most stressful work. And if you are building the kind of game where you can have a foundation laid out, where then you could then just crank out content, where the systems just are already going and already ready to go, like that's a great place to be in. And so I think I'm very, very close to that. And as far as like a release date goes, like I have no idea. It would really depend on how like my work goes, my job stuff. I'm trying to release some smaller games right now just so I can have income, like we were talking about earlier, being just like a solo dev, trying to make some cash. It's like that's its own whole other thing. So I would like very much to get back to work on Memories of a Spy in 2026. So that's about as much as I can say. Oh, also, I would say one last thing is that for anybody listening, just so I can clip this, because people, again, they ask me about this kind of shit. They're like, why are you making these other games? Why don't you get back to it? Well, the other games that I've been working on for the past year have designs in them, which I specifically choose as a way of experimenting and prototyping for the designs themselves and for the tool sets that I use to build those things to be used specifically in Memories of a Spy. So basically everything I've been working on for the past year has been like a means of like experimenting with things so I can put the super polished best version in Memories of a Spy.
Mhm.
So it's not like I've completely stopped work on it because I thought of a really crass way of there's a scene in oh god. There's a scene in the original 1950s. I'm going to make this as non-crass as I possibly can. In the original 1950s Lolita, directed by Stanley Kubrick, there's a scene in which Humpert, the dad, call him the bad guy, whatever, he is laying in bed.
Slash villain.
Yes, our what do you call them? There's a word for that. The anti-hero. I don't know if you'd call him that, but yeah, the protagonist slash villain, which is a much better way to say it, is in bed with the mother, and it cuts to a shot of the photograph of the daughter on the bedstand and his longing look at it as it sort of fades out and they sort of like get into bed together, and it's a very suggestive, eroticized like moment. You can kind of think of me and my small projects as the missus, and then like meanwhile Memories of a Spy is sitting there and I'm only thinking of Memories of a Spy, and that is where my mind is like 90% of the time, and that's where my efforts are, and that's where like my energy is put. God, that was such a gross, perverted way. I don't know why.
We shall instruct the internet to do its best to not make any adverse inferences from your choice of who you're using as a metaphor here.
Right. I don't know. It's that shot because he fought the censorship board. That was back when the Catholic Church used to have a lot of hand in censoring films that came out in both the U.S. and I think the U.K. as well. And so that is just the starkest sort of like image that is seared in my head always for like the epitome of thinking about one thing while you're engaged in another. Uh, so yeah.
Well, I think I've run through my gamut of questions. I'll see if my colleagues here have anything further for you.
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I have piped in when I had something, I think.
All right,
Cool.
then. So, Stephen, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us here today. It has been a very, very illuminating conversation on game dev.
Right on. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm. Thanks that you guys brought me on, and I'm glad I was able to offer something. I hope any of the folks listening, if not learning anything, were at least entertained or got a chuckle or two out of this.
It is our hope as well. So
Sick.
the game, yeah. So the game slash product slash interactivity toy,
Mhm.
Memories of a Spy. It currently
Yes, sir.
has a Steam page, so you can go wishlist it today. Right.
Awesome.
So we don't have transition music on this show, so Petty, you're just gonna have to fumble about for a few minutes to get the
Yeah.
video.
Please
Now it is
stand
time.
by.
Pardon our
Good.
dust.
Sure.
All right. That's set up. Where is my share video?
I
All right.
suppose to give a quick recap, we are currently going through the first story arc of the seminal 1970s British sci-fi kid series, The Tomorrow People. And we are on part 3 of The Slaves of Jedekiah. Like, I'm guessing one of these episodes is going
This
to.
was the first one, right? This was the first story arc.
Yes, the very first one.
Okay, so the lack of context is intentional, as it were.
Yes, because Steven is the new tomorrow person, and we are learning as he learns.
Cool.
Alrighty then. Everything looks to be set up. If you want to watch along, you can watch in the video share in the voice call.
Video share in the voice call. How do I? Oh, I see. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, the live thing there. You go there.
Got it.
How's
Ooh,
the audio?
nice. It's good for me.
Audio.
1973. With all of the wild LSD trips.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, nice.
Just
Leave me
how a lot of
alone.
1960s and 70s television look. But it makes it extra 1970s because of the dismal filter.
Yes.
Also worth noting that Mac is apparently going to go over this episode on Friday on his YouTube channel. So he's in sync with us.
Mhm.
Stephen? What's wrong? Are you ill? What's wrong?
No, nothing at all.
Stephen,
Let me do this for you.
call
You know,
John.
maybe it wasn't a good idea to hook up your computer to a traffic light.
Sorry, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh. It's a good photo montage.
Back in the olden days.
I mean, they only had like 5 photos to work with.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, we keep seeing that fucking hand.
Did they get paid by the pan on this one?
Yes.
Probably. You never know.
A classic science symbol.
John, wake up.
Wake up, put on a little makeup.
Oh boy.
John, wake up. Something's wrong.
The best they could have done.
Noise.
What the
I must
hell?
talk to you.
What the fuck? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Something's wrong. I woke up about an hour ago and I had a hunch that
Come
something.
here at 4 o'clock in the morning on the strength of a hunch.
But the
When I
script
tried
told
to
her
let
that
Tim,
something
he
was
didn't
happening.
answer.
Okay?
So I thought I'd better jaunt straight over, but the bell
Yeah,
told
because we're
me.
both.
Maybe because it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we know that actually there is something wrong, but still.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
I mean, she picked out her best
How
rocket
did you get
belt.
here, then?
I jaunted small distances. I had about 5 stops on the way.
Ends up screwing up and jaunts into a wall.
My goodness gracious, woman.
All right, Tim, jaunt me in. Jaunt me in, Tim.
Tim, don't live here no more.
I wasn't imagining
Shit, we have to
it.
walk.
No. Let's try Stephen. Stephen? Stephen?
Stephen.
What's
Can
up?
you hear us, Stephen?
Oh yeah.
Come in
I
if
can
you can
hear
hear us,
you.
Stephen.
I can hear you all right. Somebody else can though too.
Stephen! Nothing.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Have you got your crystal?
Yeah,
It's a good metaphor for impotence.
Jesus.
His Jo crystal.
Yeah.
Ooh, somebody had fun with
Oh,
that.
his green screen crystal.
Somebody must have switched him off.
For
Let's
fuck's
get back to the lab.
sakes.
What about Kenny?
Well, there's no sense in waking him up until we've found out what's wrong with Tim.
Follow my instructions.
You.
Gave him a quick burst of the old snake amulet. What's it the minute you open the door, boss?
Good.
You.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
And now it's time to lobotomize the poor lad.
Now, I want to get under
Yes,
common
we got that
sense.
big circuit.
Pardon?
I want to walk
The latest in
outside.
British accessorizing.
Did you bring the equipment?
See, that's what I was expecting when I saw that thing. It's like, that had something with it.
I want you to keep Sleeping Beauty here
Have
under
some,
constant surveillance.
give it some flash, give it some
What
flare.
the- Stupid.
This is the first
You like
time
that
Tim's
kind.
let us down.
He hasn't let us down. He's not capable of going against us.
Well, he could be if he was reprogrammed.
It was very lackadaisical and taking his sweet time here.
It's like saying Kenny
That's
or
kind of the
Stephen.
entire tone of this series. Like the 1970s were not worried about,
Johnny,
being
I
in
don't think
place.
he's one of
Urgency.
them, do you?
He could have
Yeah.
a decoy to lead them to the lab.
Like, he's like,
Well,
what
they
do we
do
know
escape
about
routes,
Stephen?
don't
No,
What
John,
do
that's
you know about
impossible.
Stephen?
Stephen's an ordinary schoolboy. We know when and where he was born. We know where he lives. We know what school he went to. But you even met his mother. Oh, no, John, he must be one of us. He must be.
All we know is that there was a boy called Stephen Jameson. That doesn't
Okay.
mean that our Stephen's the same one.
Uh-huh.
Not at all. Or even human.
Oh,
Ridiculous. What
really?
do you mean, not even human?
Well, you've been to the planet Sophostria? We all have. We know it's possible for an intelligence to exist without any physical form at all.
Really?
You think that
Don't bring
Stephen
that
and
Star
those
Trek
others are from
crap
another planet?
into this. It's
Well,
too
we
early
jaunt
in
to
the
other
day.
worlds. We know that aliens visit our world occasionally.
Yes, but this is a closed world. No aliens are
Pretty good
supposed to
sweater.
come here.
Pretty good
Well, my dad's not
turtleneck.
supposed to park on a double yellow line, but he does.
John, perhaps you're right. Let's contact
That's a good
the
one,
Scorpions.
actually.
Maybe they can help us.
We can't. They don't believe in interfering in the affairs of a primitive planet. Besides, we need Tim to help us
Good
contact.
man. Good people. Good
No,
people.
Carol, we're
Yes,
on our
stay
own.
away from this planet, please.
Then let's go.
Directive, that's primary.
No, John, we
Yeah.
can't do that. We haven't got Tim.
Yeah,
We'll have to
we're
jaunt
very
into
much
short cuts
primitive
under our own
people.
power.
Don't even think about it. Although that doesn't explain. Although I do want to know about what happened with that on that
What is this
that
place?
hijack signal that one time in the
It's a Moonhawk
south.
station, boss. Used to be one of the busiest places on the underground, this did. And they discovered this geological fault. Nothing they could do about it. So they had to close the old line and dig another one.
I see.
Why are you engaging me once you
place as a front.
machine?
You are quite sure there is only one entrance?
Part of the tunnels, boss. All the others have been bricked up.
You have checked?
First thing we did when we got here. Just like you told us.
Good. Be careful with those boxes, you fool. You want to ruin everything?
Give it some paint, some color, or not. What the?
I think little
Okay.
bro is coming down from the mushrooms.
Morning, sunshine. Oh, look out there. Huh.
Didn't even slap him.
He didn't pay enough for that.
Yeah.
That was a useful scene.
Hey, what's that then, boss?
In terms that you would understand, an interceptor.
Oh, yeah? What does it intercept then?
You'll see. The principle is
You have no
simple enough.
idea, do you?
The antenna here
The
is a
writers
scanner.
didn't put it in the script yet.
You select a point where you can scan an entire area, and then activate it by depressing this.
It looks like a zoetrope. Take a little peek inside. Look, the zebra's running.
I want these instruments positioned and activated throughout the entire area, in all vantage points. I want every square yard of the station and its approaches covered. Now get on with it.
If you look inside, there's little penguins throwing a ball to each other in line.
Yep. This is happening.
Sit down and wait until he's out the room,
Or not.
or not, or whatever.
Standard henchman.
Now what are you doing?
Stay where you are.
Yeah. Yes. That's the right
What the
one.
hell's going
Yeah.
on?
This fool nearly let the prisoner activate the computer.
Yes.
Silence! No more incompetence will be tolerated. If there are any lapses from any of you, you will suffer.
Like you? No,
Come
that's
on,
a YouTube,
boss.
bro.
Silence.
That thing doesn't work.
Tie him in that chair.
Yes, boss.
Have the interceptors been put in position?
Yeah, they're in position.
I want another one brought in here immediately. See to it.
Oh, if it is. Excuse me, that's your fault. Not mine, not his. got the remote control, I guess. Nice. That's
What
what
happens now,
stupid
boss?
kids leave that hanging around.
Takes ages without Tim to give us the power.
Then our
Huh?
boss.
Wait, what? What just happened there?
Do you reckon
Not much.
Come in.
Yes, I do.
they must be in the lab?
Yeah, I think you're right.
That visual effect
What are we
confused
gonna
me.
do? Jaunt in and surprise them?
No, they'll be expecting us to do that. No, we'll walk in, and then if there's
They'll be
trouble,
expecting
we'll
us to
join
surprise them.
Should we surprise them? No, we'll just walk in. No, they're not expecting that.
Go for a jaunt, maybe?
I did have to look up jaunt just to see what else it might mean.
Yeah, it means a short trip, but here they're using it as their.
Stephen,
It's a word for teleporting.
Yes.
Right.
are you there?
It's a very British like decision to use in their sci-fi.
Oh, now you figured it out.
Right, like,
Every people
first
up a telepathic TV transmission. Yeah.
no. I don't think they could have expressed it more British.
You're wasting your time trying
Yeah.
to... They cannot hear you. The band soaks up your telepathic transmissions.
I mean, he
Carol,
could have.
John, look out!
Oh, let him shout. They cannot hear him.
I mean, he could have just took the band off. But oh
See, that
wait,
would have actually been effective, and we can't have that. No.
Yeah.
Could have.
Then
Is
again,
that
it
a coat hanger?
Probably. Like, do you see what's on screen? Do you think they had a budget?
Yeah.
Right.
Welcome to
1973.
sci-fi that isn't Doctor
Although
Who.
I
Right.
don't necessarily know about that because this apparently came from Thames and they're the richest damn place. So they had the most money out of all ITV companies. Don't say that.
They got away, boss.
Now they've been intercepted, as planned.
I mean, clearly they weren't spending the Benny Hill money here.
John?
And these are video effects, not celluloid effects.
Yeah.
John!
Replace the damaged interceptor immediately.
I mean, so
I
much
know.
chroma key.
What happened to them?
They're in a safe place.
Where?
They cannot escape.
In another dimension.
Hyperspace.
They're in the LSD zone.
Hyperspace.
Where the ex-cyberspace?
This ain't another dimension.
No arm.
Oh?
That fragment of time without time that lies between the end of one microsecond and the beginning of another one. That space that is
Wasted a
space
full page of
that lies
script
between
to
the curving
say
dimensions
you're
of
in another
eternity.
dimension.
Oh, yeah?
Dimensions
I think I
that
saw
make
this
star
concept
travel
in an episode
possible,
of Teenage
time
Mutant Ninja
travel
Turtles.
possible.
Star travel?
That is right.
You're joking.
I have no time to argue with you.
All that guff about hyperspace.
Yet here we
you don't
are.
believe it, are you?
Why don't you shut your trap?
He's using you, and you know it. Might be as well if you found out why.
I said shut up, or I'll send you into hyperspace.
Sometimes they make it more British, I guess. I guess he's gotten into the screw it mindset
Yes.
now.
But the boy.
I said leave us.
Oh, you're gonna pay for that one.
Reports.
Here's the
We
doc
expect to have assembled a complete crew within the next Earth day. 3 of the 4 subjects are within our hands. 1 here, 2 being held in hyperspatial.
Bro is
suspension.
sweating balls in this film set. There's probably a big ass
3,
light
4, 5,
just right in his
at
face.
780G.
Yeah.
Velocity
Fucking
wonder how many
Negligible in
takes
this
blasting that light, boy. Blasting.
inherent in hyperspatial suspension.
Looks very sweaty.
Yeah.
What? That's like the tense. He's
If we lose
what?
them, we shan't have time to find replacements.
Acknowledge.
Got that old 1970s light bulb. Like, gee.
yeah, he probably had to blink a few times for that. Bro probably went blind for half a second.
That's sweat in that eye, boy. Salt. Goodness. Amazing he doesn't have to. When I clinched on the way out.
Carol, Kenny?
Somebody didn't tell them
I
what
don't know for
chroma
sure, but I
keys
got a pretty good idea.
did.
Something I programmed Tim to look into a couple of weeks ago.
Just figuring it
Like,
out.
The delay that
like
started
chroma,
me thinking about.
they're obviously on strings. You can't
Haven't you
see them.
noticed? When we jaunt, I mean, there's always a couple.
What's interesting is they're being chroma'd, but there's also a projection on them.
Haven't you ever wondered where
Yes.
we are? Or
Yeah,
when we are
like,
during those missing 2 seconds?
What was this show?
You mean?
Yes. But we pass through it so quickly we don't even notice it.
Yes,
I am impressed how you can't hear the fans or leaf blowers blowing on them. Like, it's pretty clear audio, actually.
Clear.
Means that we must be able to get
They
back.
might have just fucking recorded this in a sound booth.
Yeah, but that's also, it would have to be really exceptional ADR. Like,
Not without Tim.
it looks like scratch audio to me.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm getting so sleepy.
I keep my eyes open. Must be one of the signs.
And them watching the dailies.
I suppose.
No, I'm sure it's like going to sleep in the snow. I'm sure it's dangerous.
Yeah, don't go to sleep or you'll die. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, wait, is it broken? Or did they just miss the shot?
No,
Probably missed the shot.
It's no use, kid.
Huh.
Them's good knots.
Oh,
John, your arm! Wake up and look at your arm!
oh no!
it's on purpose. Okay, good on them.
Disintegrating!
It's just like Back to the Future.
Must have been some sort of optical
Some
illusion.
disintegration, I can still see you holding hands.
Wasn't it? It's one of the properties of hyperspace.
Sure it is.
Disintegration?
We don't
There's
belong
some
here.
disintegration going on. It's really still visible. Try again.
Falling asleep lowers our resistance. You must not fall asleep, Carol. Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Hey, get some Mr. Pibb. That'll keep him up.
Days before Monster Energy existed.
That's why I say That's why I say Mr. Pibb.
Get just a little cup of tea, Golf.
Soon be morning, won't it?
And these people are that British.
See the soccer things on the wall.
Football? Excuse me?
Right. Football.
Actually, it might still be soccer for them at this point.
Oh, really?
Nah,
Is there a
it's
history to
football.
that?
Morning,
It's
Carol.
football.
There
it's
it is.
Football.
John,
They
The
can't
British
hear
came up
you.
with the
Stephen,
term
can you hear
soccer.
me?
They can't hear you. Oh boy, the comedic relief has
Hello,
to do
Tim.
the
Is
same
everything
thing.
all right? Tim?
And
And we messed up chroma
Tim,
shot.
come in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Damn.
supposed to be intentional. Jeez.
What is this clean plate that they used underneath? Like, is
I
it
don't
footage
know.
of a light spinning? Is it like
Maybe?
footage of the inside of a kaleidoscope?
It might be like just a white
How the
kaleidoscope
hell
thing.
do you
Yeah.
fall asleep on those stairs right there, Flo?
I mean, we got the music playing, so presumably something is going to happen.
Right.
Maybe.
Guess not.
772.
Oh yes, counting things. That's never been known to put people to sleep.
173.
Let's think of horror method. What are we doing?
Carol, stop counting. It doesn't work anymore. You'll have to think of something else.
Yeah, how about an
Start-
engaging conversation, not the most mind-numbing task?
Yeah, just talk.
Carol, wake up.
Okay, then start kicking each other in the shins or something. Jeez.
I know you're gonna have to do something stupid.
It's been like 5 minutes.
Uh-oh. Loophole.
Kenny, don't move. It's a trap.
Oh. Hijack the mine, huh? Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, we can do that.
It's very powerful.
Hard luck.
Suckers.
Kenny, look out.
They moved the fucking computer.
Look, he's a standard henchman. He's got to be incompetent.
I ain't a robot, you dope.
I think
I
it's more
can't
the
break down the
the
door.
funny part is the computers isn't even really bolted down.
Right.
is just kind of sitting there.
John and Carol are trapped in hyperspace.
They did prop department dirty with that close-up of the gun right now.
Yeah, they did.
Should have just took it in a wide, brother.
Stay awake, Carol. We've got to stay awake.
I need the
hyperspatial coordinates.
I heard Judy Kai give
These
me
must have been just so much fun to work on, though.
345-780G.
Yeah, bro, no, that's literally just bits and bobs and a light shade. My brother.
I was expecting a laser and shit. Oh, it worked.
Oh.
Wait, there isn't much time.
I have tried. They are not
More projection. Wait, what does that mean? That the other realm is spilling into this world now?
Our friend outside.
Maybe. It is honestly hard to tell with this theory.
Whoa, is that? Is he pulling out a cylinder of concrete?
I mean, look, if it works, it works.
Yeah, it's an interesting device there.
Behind you, Stephen.
Uh-oh.
You can't beat up a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, you didn't plan it out, pal. Bring him, please.
John, the door, quickly.
Stay where you are.
Fools!
Oh no, he's got a freaking dry ice smoke.
And I should have got
Damn,
stop.
right.
Hammer time.
Really sets up next week, huh?
Yeah.
Hang on, we got more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a full. We actually have a next episode bit here.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. This is how it worked back in the day.
Yeah.
Paul Bernard.
Next week, Stephen joins the Tomorrow People in an attempt to rescue Kenny.
Kenny?
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
You bastards.
I hope he suffered.
Meanwhile.
Come on, Geronimo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, remember, this is from the 1970s, so it's not going to be...
73.
You didn't even say it in
What
the right
the
order.
fuck?
Now we're going to get into...
What will happen to Kenny?
Oh boy. Oh, doctor.
Now that's a preview.
Oh, doctor. Oh, doctor.
Tucked up safe and sound?
Seriously, get Doctor Who. Get me out of here.
Did you dish the ambulance all right?
Ooh, Prisoner of Zenda reference. You don't get many of those these days.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those they were making in the 1970s.
The Tomorrow People.
It was an
next
important
week.
book in its day.
Oh no, the Tiger Game's gonna get backstabbed.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
As
Yeah,
if that was,
was-
nobody could see that coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Like,
Shock and
I'm looking
awe,
forward to part
friends.
4, and especially part 5.
How many
Oh,
parts are
boy.
there?
5.
5.
Okay.
It's a 5-part
Of
serial.
this serial?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, we haven't even gotten to Jedediah's true form yet. That's going to be a spectacle.
Oh boy.
But
We did
That'll
we
have
not
to wait.
see it right there?
that'll have to wait for another time, because now it's time to get into entertainment news.
Oh boy.
And I know exactly where to start, because today Nintendo and Universal just unveiled the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Like,
Is there a trailer out, or is it just an announcement?
It was the teaser. It was the teaser trailer, aka trailer number 1.
Okay.
well, actually, they put out the trailer and the Rosalina TV spot.
Yeah, no. What happened? What actually was is the teaser trailer and then 2 side clips.
Right.
Basically, you could call them voice demos, I guess.
But yeah, so we got our first real look at the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and how do I put this? It looks like Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
It looks a lot better than the first movie. but that's not surprising considering how much the first movie made. Like, the expected characters have shown up, as in Rosalina, Bowser Jr., and of course, teased at the end of the last movie, Yoshi. That one got spoiled by Pillsbury.
Thanks, Pillsbury.
I'm watching the trailer on mute right now, and I'm watching a tiny Bowser trim a bonsai tree.
Yeah. Like, it's Bowser as Jack Black once again. Like, if you like that, you're going to get more of it. Like, I did appreciate that Mario and Bowser still genuinely hate each other. Though, going back to the Super Mario Galaxy games, I don't think Bowser's ever been more threatening than he was in at least the first one. Like,
yeah, that is the one where he is literally like trying to forge a new universe or something, and then at the end after he gets defeated, something goes wrong.
Yeah. Now, I will grant that the mainline games, at least back in the day, did tend to treat Bowser as a serious threat, and it was more the spin-offs that did the comedy stuff. But that eventually seeped into the main games. Like, I guess Nintendo took that whole Mario and Bowser go-karting on the weekends things to heart at some point. And Rosalina, it's worth noting, isn't actually a princess. She's supposed to be like a star goddess.
She's a princess because that's like the highest title they have.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's called the Mushroom Kingdom, but she's a princess.
Not as opposed to the Mushroom Principality, yes.
Yeah. I guess
well,
that's
Peach is the princess of that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, there are actually specific things of this nature that still exists, like the Principality of Monaco.
Oh, I didn't know Monaco was like that.
Yep.
I guess that might explain why it's also one of the most expensive places to visit as a tourist.
It's because it's really small. A lot of the ultra wealthy are there, and
it's the place that the pet royal family that the various European countries that are democracies now get to use, since they don't have their own anymore. France, most notably.
Huh.
Yep. But
like in terms of not in terms of like them being important or anything, but just like in terms of gossip about royal families and stuff as entertainment.
But this is basically why Rosalina ends that robot with minimal effort, let's say. Though I will say she's already more charismatic here than she was in the games.
In the game, she didn't do much. She mostly helped you find stuff.
Well, she also knows how to emote in this one. Like, not just her voice actress either. Like, if you look at this Rosalina, she smirks right before she blows up the robot.
I guess for anyone in the audience wondering why I'm not showing the trailer, Paramount and Nintendo will fucking death beam us to hell.
Trailers are playing with fire on YouTube. Because that'll absolutely get dinted. Because, like, people complain about trailers getting flagged. Well, that's because people put up channels that are literally, you're putting the trailer there for monetization purposes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I pick and choose my battles. I don't want to deal with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Right. Universal. But yeah, it's coming along quite nicely. And it's probably going to make a metric ton of money.
I'm going to have to play Super Mario Galaxy before this because I have never played it.
Galaxy is a pretty good game. Galaxy 2 refines the gameplay, but the story presentation is a little bit plainer.
Yeah, I remember hearing kind of like
it's basically a level pack for Galaxy 1.
Right.
But they use a simpler framing device mostly.
Yeah. Still,
I'm gonna have to see if playing it on the Switch is as fun as not having a the Wiimote. I don't know how integral that was to the experience.
Okay, so the Wiimote is used for two things, one of which is three things, one of which is more important than the others. One is how you did the spin jump that is super important to your air control and stuff.
Okay.
They just mapped that to a button, I think.
Yeah, because the Switch has more buttons than the Wiimote did.
The second thing is you had a cursor on screen that is used for grabbing sling stars, just pointing it around to collect star bits, and you can also shoot star bits at things sometimes. Or at any time, but sometimes there's a point to it. That, if you're playing with Joy-Cons, which is probably the recommended thing, I think it just maps with the gyro aim.
Oh, okay.
There's a way.
Reasonable.
You have to reset it fairly frequently, but that works. Pro Controller, I'm not sure what they do for it. It might be the right stick, and if so, that's probably not a great solution. It's a little bit harder to do it while you're doing a bunch of other stuff. And then the third thing is that there are 3 or 4 types of motion control gimmick stages. They're awful, and I think they still require you to use Joy-Cons and stuff. Okay.
As long as they're awful, I don't feel bad about.
One of them is awful. One variety is awful. One of them variety is a little bit annoying, and one is actually pretty fun in my experience.
Okay. I have hopes so far off of your description, and from what I've heard from other people, that maybe not having the Wiimote is so detrimental to preserving the experience.
I don't think it's that bad, especially if you're using Joy-Cons.
Honestly, the more crippled experience on the Switch is Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Sunshine suffers from lack of analog triggers.
Yep.
Oh.
Because that actually made a pretty significant difference in how FLUDD worked, in terms of whether you're just quick spraying or locking into like first-person aim mode.
Right. You can kind of give a little dribble or like full blast.
And there was some speedrun tactics, particularly that actually you had to modulate how you sprayed.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it works, but it's a little bit messier.
Yeah. The irony.
Yep. Anyway, so as far as the Super Mario Galaxy movie goes, it's looking good. I think it's looking like an improvement on the first game, the first movie. But that's because, they're adapting arguably the best Mario games, and also there's more going on here than there was in the first movie. Not really sure what else to say at this point. Not sure if Donkey Kong's going to be part of it, but I think he's getting his own spin-off that hasn't been announced yet. I would expect it would be, because why else was Donkey Kong there? First one?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't that integral, but it has been a while. Anyway, shifting from Mario to One Piece. One Piece Season 2, the Netflix series, has finished filming. And does look on track for next year, I believe.
Actually put out a date for season 2.
Right,
right
right.
one. Yeah, it's
March 10th.
March
Okay.
10th. Yeah, 2026.
Because they just put out a presentation of live action Smoker.
Mm.
Like, I'm trying to remember when he was last featured in the manga because it's been a long time.
I think Impel Down.
No,
He was in Punk Hazard.
Oh, he chose for
Hazard.
Punk Hazard. All right. Oh,
I think
right,
he was
yeah.
on a. I think he was in a side story bit from. I'm trying to remember when it was, but he did show up a little bit later on, relatively little recently. Yeah, he was in a. He was on a. Yeah, he was on a. He showed up in the as a side show up in the Egghead arc.
So it's still been nigh on a decade since he's shown up.
Not that long, but
No, he last showed up in the manga. He last showed up actually last June.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Here's the thing: he's shown up, but showing up, that means okay, you're one of the faces in like, one of the what's changed in the world segments at the end of a arc.
Confirmed he has not been murked off screen, basically.
Actually during an arc at this point, but
his last place of prominence, I think, was Punk Hazard. And honestly, I know this isn't a popular opinion, but it's certainly mine. I think Smoker is one of the great disappointments of One Piece. Full stop.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that until we get the full bit here. I'm not going to say anybody's.
No, it's too late. It's too
No.
late. Because honestly, he should have been the great rival character to the Zenigata to Luffy's Lupin.
Well, his
that's what he was set
whole
up
shtick was supposed to be how strong, like, what's the type of devil fruit he has? Is it
who Smoker?
Yeah,
Smoker
Smoker
has a Logia, I think.
Yeah, he was supposed to show off that Logias are super strong, and then he gets bodied by Luffy.
He was kind of set up as the guy who was going to chase the Straw Hats to the ends of the earth, and that just kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think his assistant is much more important to the One Piece world than Smoker ended up being. Trying to remember her name. Tashigi, that's it. Look, there are a lot of One Piece characters. In fact, ironically enough, her big importance came in Punk Hazard. She was the one who was leading, maybe not the science team, but she was like the head of the laboratory where they were doing the giant experiments. And though once again, surprisingly, she's not very prominent in the actual arc that's going on right now that features the giants very prominently.
At least not yet.
Then again, the power levels here are so beyond the scale of these two. It's not a surprise that they're not taking part of it because
currently dealing with the possibly the One Piece equivalent of God. Yeah.
At the very least, what is billed as the highest authority in the world government, although it's technically we're in a flashback or like a flashback of a flashback, something like that. We're not in the present time. We're going over what happened to the Rocks Pirates in the manga right now.
But honestly, Emu is basically the equivalent of God at the moment. But
okay, so the Straw Hats aren't fighting God, but they are fighting the God Knights, the elite soldiers of the world government, the proper endgame combatants. Like, if you shoved someone like Smoker or even Tashigi in this, they'd be jobber fodder or something like that. Like, But I suppose that matters little for the time period we're talking about in terms of the season 2, which is going to cover, I believe, Logtown to Drum Islands. Like I know it's going.
Yeah, but I guess that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, like I know it's not doing all of Baroque Works. Like
Right.
it's doing like the first half. And Chopper's been shown off, so we are going to Drum Islands. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting to the Giants Island, like Garden Island or whatever that place is called.
Little Garden?
No, we're good. No, we're good there because Drogi and Brogy were in the T's, so we're getting them.
Yeah, it sounds like we're doing all the, all the other islands, and we're going to get up to Alabastia. I presume they're going to call it Alabastia in the live action and not Arabastia.
They'll probably call it Alabasta. That's another term to use because they did cast Ace so for season 3 all ready to go. So
they could probably tease him at the very least.
Yeah, that's going to be the end season tease. Yep.
Yeah. So, the point is, now as far as how live action Smoker looks, shockingly impressive. Plus, he really surprising he's still allowed to smoke. Like,
I mean, we're talking
not
Netflix
use
number
not
one.
use a lollipop or just have smoke coming out of his mouth.
It's a lot harder to do in live action, even with CGI. But like American productions really don't like going in on smoking unless they have to, and in this case, they have to because he's literally named Smoker, and the smoke is not just a name; it's what he is.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, if you think about it, this isn't necessarily an American production because this is done by a British studio, but
I know.
But still, it's like, yeah, I mean, you can't get around, Smoker having those cigars. You just can't.
On the other end of the adaptation spectrum, Netflix's live action The Last Airbender series has also wrapped up production.
Yeah, it's getting 2 and out.
All I can say to that is good for them. Like, look, it hasn't been good so far. Like,
and season 2 is going to give us Toph.
Oh yeah, they did something with Toph. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah.
Because I think they are they aged her up a bit. Which actually does make sense because casting a 10-year-old, an actual 10-year-old, probably wasn't that viable. Yeah, they aged her up quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, she's going to be older and slightly more feminine.
Yeah, which is missing the point.
Worms.
Like everything okay?
It's like I said. It's a can of worms.
Oh.
Because of the character, yeah.
Like I get why they didn't want to cast a 10-year-old because actually working with that in live action, especially an action-heavy series, was gonna be difficult at the best of times.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to see.
Making her slightly more feminine is literally missing the point of her character. But that's kind of what I expect from live action Airbender. It doesn't understand what the original was. That's why it's, it was more successful, but it's more Cowboy Bebop, the Netflix series, than One Piece, the Netflix series. So, and I think that'll do it for the entertainment news for the week. So that leads us to the wrap up.
Oh
And
man.
indeed, what's coming next week. Petty, if you please.
Alrighty, we have a very, very special show coming next week. For our guest, we are having Nick Nocturne, the creator of Nightmind. It is a YouTube, I don't want to call it really, I guess more of a channel where he goes in like long form discussions on various horror projects, be it analog horror, digital horror, just horror in general. And we also have a special guest host. Linkara returns to our shores once again. So it's gonna be fun. Both parties have confirmed, so
Yes. It's going to be a big show next week.
yes,
So
very big.
look forward to that.
I mean, it's always fun whenever we have Linkara, so
Yeah. Usually it's in conjunction with SF Debris, but this is something that's not really connected to him, so I didn't ask that party. So, but there's always the future.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that'll about do it for this episode of MSP. Be sure to look for Max Mind's episode on his YouTube channel on Friday, and hopefully he will be with us next week. So until then, stay safe.